Way too many times over the years, I've seen this mistake made in Madden. Okay, my opponent is running a RPO with a bubble or a flat. I'm gonna make sure that I have a hard flat on the field. That should solve my problem. The ball snapped, the hard flat bails, and now the tight end or the receiver is out on the perimeter catching the ball with blockers in front of them. This simple mindset is the reason that year after year you see players online complaining about RPOs being unstoppable, when the truth is you just need to have a better understanding of the system as a whole, and it will improve your defense no matter what you're in. So make sure you guys get out your notepad. Today, we're going to show you guys how to read RPOs in general from a defensive point of view and how to turn any defense into the game into something that is better against the best RPO in Madden 25. So you probably run into this play in formation, the RPO read Y flat. This is found in the Y off trips nasty. This is in playbooks such as the run and gun. Kansas City has this as well. It is a very, very good play that a lot of players center an entire offense around. In fact, David T made a run in a Madden challenge not too long ago, largely off of the fact that this play took the community by storm. And it's one of the reasons I constantly harp on this channel that knowledge is power. You can hear players all day long say that skill gap is more important than knowledge gap. But if you have a blitz pickup that no one's seen, or a bomb formula for a coverage that no one's seen, or an RPO that takes advantage of the most prominent defensive metas that nobody's seen, this can lend towards you making a name for yourself in competitive Madden. You can make a deep run in a tournament, and the next thing you know, you're a mainstay, you're a homemade name in the community that will have a following for a long time. And it's for these reasons that I always try to explain to you guys that knowledge is arguably more important than skill. Some of the best stick skill players are not making the MCS runs of recent memory because maybe they rely a little bit too much on their natural stick skill and they don't understand how things work under the hood. So in that last example, what we did is we called a defense in which we called a cover 3 and I shaded down into a hard flat. And for this reason, we think, okay, this hard flat defender is basically lined up over the tight end. It should be able to get out into the flat, especially because we have a safety over here over the middle receiver and an outside corner. We basically outnumbered them 3-2 in terms of zones versus blockers in this area. But what a lot of players oftentimes don't account for within their construct of their defense is who the end man on the line of scrimmage is, also known as the MLOS. The end man on the line of scrimmage, oftentimes in an RPO construct, is considered the read defender for the run portion of an RPO. After all, RPOs are known as run pass options. This R icon will appear over the end man on your line of scrimmage, and it doesn't matter what zone assignment he's in, and it really does not matter if I pass commit. If I were to hit right bumper, right stick up, that is not going to make our R icon do anything other than play the role of his read key. So that goes back into your coach settings. In fact, a lot of players will think, okay, well, what if I go ahead and set my option defense to conservative? This will make it so we focus on the quarterback on a read option. It will make it so hopefully we can play the pass or the pitch key. Will this help? But you come back out in your defense, and with those settings active, you think, all right, well, this should make it so the guy doesn't crash. So let's set up our defense again, hard flat. Our R icon is now playing conservative. He stays home. We snap the ball, and well, that didn't work. He didn't play the flat at all. What happened? That's again because the R portion of this is for run only. Basically, when you take a look at your defense, when you pull up your gaps for your run fit by holding the right trigger and then the X button for the left run fit, the B button for the right run fit, you see that no matter what, he's involved, and those are the lanes that he has to fill. So he's not worried about playing the flat when he is being read as part of an RPO. The key to this is understanding how to create a different end man on the line of scrimmage. And this is going to kind of differ depending on what defense you're in. But right now, what I want you guys to do is make sure you are subscribed to the channel, hit that notification bell if you guys are learning anything. If you have any questions, drop them below. And if you guys are feeling for a little bit more, make sure you guys check out gridirongameplans.gg, because this type of teaching is what we do full-time over on my website. Gridiron's been open since 2020, trying to keep players like you and myself on top of the pro metas. That could be a job in and of itself. Knowing what pro players are doing, why it works, and how to counter it is the name of the game, because so many players out there want to imitate what they see online on Twitch streams or the MCS broadcast, because they want to win more games as well and cut down on pack costs and make a name for themselves. Knowing what they're doing is the majority of the battle, and these types of teachings will help you guys improve at the game with our weekly updated vault focused on those metas and their counters. In addition to that, you get all offensive and defensive game plans at no additional cost. We are the only website out there that's going to give you weekly vault content and all game plans for one low price. And you guys can join our Discord, where we have added lab sessions every single week where you can ask anything about the game to get better. Those you'll pay $60, $70, $100, $120 with other pro Madden players elsewhere for 1 hour of their time. We're going to do those lab sessions weekly at no additional charge, just $9.95 a month for the entire website. Go check it out. It's the best deal in the tip space. So we know that we have an issue here with our defense. The guy that we want to play the flat is not doing so. And the reason why is that the game is considering him to be the read man on our RPO, because he is the first player outside of the offensive tackle. So what you are tasked with when you are talking about defending an RPO is fiddling around with your formation to see if you can create different looks that will allow you to change who your in man on the line of scrimmage is. So one of the things that I would recommend doing here is trying to create a different look, whether it be with your defensive line or your linebacker / coverage setup, to change who is the R icon. So when we call this look right here, let's take a look at how this is set up. You notice that in this example, we have no R icon on the field whatsoever. In fact, you'll notice there is just a P icon up top at the safety. Now, this tells us that the player that formerly was playing the run is no longer considered the read key, but we are now in a situation where we're still dealing with the numbers of the RPO. We saw McCaffrey and Neighbors outside blocking and making it so basically that guy cannot make a play on this. So what do we do to change this up? Well, first and foremost, one of the things I'm going to do here to give a permanent full-time R icon is I'm going to try to shift my line out. So you see right there that that creates the possibility for us to now make it so that defensive end on the right is the R icon. Then from there, what I'm going to try to start with is shading down. Of course, again, math comes into effect. 2 blockers for 1 flat defender doesn't really give us a lot to write home about. So you see right here, we're still able to get this out into the flat. So in a context of 3-4 odd, is this a great option? No, not necessarily, but we can move people around to kind of change the targeting. So one of the things that I have taught before here on the channel, especially if you guys are in like a dollar style defense, is moving your safety down behind a slot corner. So let's go into like a cover 4 based defense in which I'm going to shade down. We take a look here at our alignment. Let's see what the icons look like. We have the R icon on the edge, the P icon on our slot defender. Now the P icon, we're fine there. That's the pass key. We're going to be just fine with this. If I were to basically play him in a pressed hard flat role, you'll be in a similar situation to what we were just in with the 3-4, where they're going to be able to block this guy. Now, in some cases, he'll shed and be able to make a play on his own, but ideally we don't want him blocked at all. So what I recommend doing here with this is, as long as he's not the R icon, we're living fine. But then from there, we need to make it so his job is easier. One of the things I recommend doing is actually moving the safety on that side down. And so he is slightly outside of the slot corner. So that way this puts us and the reason I do this is this puts us in a situation where now McCaffrey has to block not 1, but potentially 2 different players that could come downhill. The presence of this safety down low in the box will make him miss his assignment the majority of the time. And now our hard flat is there to make a play on the football. So let's go back and see how we can try to translate what we just talked about in this formation to the formation that we just started the video in, which was the 3-4 odd. Now, again, full disclosure, I don't even run 3-4 odd. at least at this point in the year. I started the year off in it, but it's not something I still run. But when we talk about this look, we want this linebacker out on the perimeter in a hard flat. If we take our safety and we move him down in a similar fashion, so now McCaffrey has to worry about not one, but two potential players over there, there is a much better chance that he is going to block the wrong one. And if we actually have hands instead of hands for stone, that's a pick six. So again, what did we do? We just made sure that that end man on the line of scrimmage was no longer our zone defender. And we moved down a safety behind him. So that way the slot defender blocks incorrectly, changing the icon, and boom, we get a tackle or a pick or a drop from a pass breakup. This rule set is pretty simple when you think about it. You don't really have to know what every RPO in the game does. What you have to do is understand that as long as your flat defender for your RPO is not the R icon and you move someone else down into the same area, that's gonna make him free to play his assignment. So I'm gonna go ahead here and choose a completely different defense than the ones we've been running so far. I'm gonna come out in the 3-3 penny. And in this example, we're gonna play a cover 4. I'm gonna play quarters and I'm gonna shade it down so it's a hard flat. Now, when we take a look, what do we see here? Well, guess what? There's the R icon. That's the same issue we had with that player when we were in the 3-4 odd. This means that no matter how hard I want to move this guy down and free him up, if he's that R icon, he's dumbing out and we could throw out there into the flat. So what do we know? If he's the R icon, we have to make someone else the R icon. How do we achieve this? Well, what do we do in the 3-4? We spread the line. Does that work here? You bet it does. Now the P icon is on the flat defender. We can play him in the hard flat and we can walk down Whitehead. So that way he's stacked right behind him. And then when we go to throw this ball, we have that hard flat that is able to make a play. Now right there in that particular alignment, you got chipped just a little bit. That's okay. You just make some tweaks and you'll be just fine. So again, no R icon on that slot defender. We want him as the P icon at most. Preferably not an icon at all. Get him head up over this guy, maybe walk this guy down a couple steps to maybe change the angles of things. We snap the football. Now he's almost completely unblocked. And even if they catch the ball there, that's -2. That's actually better than an incompletion. So we're doing just fine there. Let's see if we can take this into other defenses. Again, I don't run every defense in my playbook, neither do you, but there might be a situation that calls for it where maybe your opponent's running the ball. You need to be able to have bodies to stop the run, but you also want to make sure that you can defend the RPO no matter what you're in. Maybe 4-4 split. I can tell you right now, if you take a look at my playbook, I've maybe called 1 or 2 snaps all year long in this particular defense. But let's see what we can do. I'm going to have a much better command of the box here because we got 1, 2, 3, 4 up front, 3 linebackers in the box here. I could creep this safety down, except for I really can't. We'll understand why in here in a second. Let's take a look. Our icon is on the edge. Totally fine there. P icon over this slot defender. That's not okay because we have to make sure that we move a safety. But oh, look. When we move this guy, the R icon moves. We don't want that. So you want to make sure that you put this in a spot. We lab it so that way the R icon is in a correct position. You see right there, it goes back to the defensive end. I can now shade my coverage down for hard flat purposes. We snap the football and look at that. There we are. Tackle for -3. Universal RPO defense with nothing more than understanding icons and positioning of players on the field. This is going to treat you well when you talk about other RPOs, bubble screens, really anything in the game where your opponent is trying to get the ball into the hands of a playmaker quickly. This is going to help you guys out significantly. So if you guys struggle with RPOs in any regard, you have to make sure that you guys are checking these out. This is the difference in you guys winning and losing games in crunch time, especially when your opponent wants to go for a 2-point conversion to finish a game. They've saved this all game long. You have to know these types of things and have a better understanding. This is going to win you way more games than just being the stickiest person in the community. I promise you, knowledge is more important in Madden than stick skill. I don't have the best stick skill. Most of you guys don't have the best stick skill. Really, there's only 2 or 3 guys in the world that have stick skill of like a Fancy or a D-Croft. So we have to close that gap in areas where we can right here, and knowledge is king. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. See you guys tomorrow. Until then, this is Zan. Get the lab and good luck.